Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. The first ever expanded college football playoff saw a variety of teams punch their ticket into that top 12. You had the powerhouses and the big names. You also had a few sleepers. And our Chip Patterson has a great article up on CBSSports.com right now detailing 25 storylines you need to know ahead of the season. That brings us back to the CFP. Chip has some names in there to watch from that article, maybe some teams that could surprise you if you're not locked into CBS Sports HQ this morning. We have the host of the Cover 3 podcast joining us this morning, Chip Patterson. There's a lot of anticipation for this season. There's some high-pressure situations for some across all the conferences. So let's talk about some of those sleeper teams. And we're going to start in the Big Ten, where the USC Trojans enter Lincoln Riley's fourth season in charge. And there's kind of like this eerie sense almost that it could be his last when you think about how it's gone to this point. We know the Trojans have a very decorated history, but they just haven't taken that next step under Riley. So why are you feeling optimistic about this team being a sleeper this year?
Because Lincoln Riley, probably for the first time since he got there, has everything in his house organized. And if you've been through that process, it can be difficult. But when we spoke to Lincoln Riley at Big Ten Media Days, he told us on the Cover 3 podcast that this is the first time that he feels like he's really been able to get back to coaching ball. That's because he had to improve the strength and conditioning program, hiring Tremaine Carroll. He had to improve the general manager position, the personnel department, getting Chad Bowden in there. And now he finally feels like in the modern era, USC is close to being caught up with the modern powers. Because you're right, Haley, every year that Lincoln Riley has been there, the win total has gone down. But I think this is the year for the bounce back. So when you look at the schedule, there are difficult games at Notre Dame, at Oregon, yes. But I think that this USC team can go 10-2. Sometimes with the transfer portal, we judge by action. Sometimes I judge by inaction. And USC did not go to get a quarterback to compete with Jaden Maeva. That means the quarterback that they had starting at the end of the year, who went 3-1 as a starter, has given them confidence that he has continued to improve, continued to develop. And I think that USC is loaded up and dangerous. And there is a quiet confidence around the coaching staff and the players that they're ready to have a much better impression on the rest of the Big Ten in 2025.
All right, 10-2 for the Trojans from our Chip Patterson. USC is going to open the season against Missouri State on August 30th. That one should be a win, but we'll have to wait and see. Another team you're tracking in the Big Ten is the Fighting Tom Fornelli's, Chip. We've got the University of Illinois making some big strides under Brett Bielema last year. They capped a 10-3 campaign with a Citrus Bowl win over then number 4 South Carolina. Why are you confident that that success can continue in 25?
Because I don't have the scars that Tom Fornelli does of expectations not being met. I mean, this is the rivalry. It is Illinois versus real preseason expectations. Brett Bielema, year 1, exceeds expectations. Year 2, a little bit disappointed with how things went. Now we've snapped back with that 10-win season, as you mentioned, but I think it comes down to Luke Altmaier and what they get in terms of experience and what I believe is the most clutch quarterback in college football. No other quarterback has more game-winning or game-tying touchdowns in the last minute or overtime than Luke Altmaier does in his career. And I think that his own belief and self-confidence has just continued to grow. They have very, very few roster questions, mainly just trying to figure out who's going to replace Zachariah Franklin and Pat Bryant at wide receiver. But offensive line, check. Running back room, deep. Defense, loaded up. And so now it is about Illinois actually going out and doing the daggum thing. They do play Ohio State, but they play them at home. There's no Penn State, no Michigan, no Oregon. Everything is set up. Illinois just has to go do it.
It's interesting, we just showed that graphic as well when you talk about clutch time for Luke Altmaier. The Fighting Illini led the FBS in fourth quarter comebacks, as we just saw on that graphic. So hopefully they can keep it going as we continue the conversation. Let's go over to the Big 12. Chip, you know I'm a Texas girlie. I grew up about 40 minutes away from Waco, Texas. A lot has changed in 30-plus years. The stadium is bigger. The roads are even more chaotic. But the expectations of Baylor football still remain the same. We saw Dave Aranda lead the Bears to kind of a down season last year, 6-3 in the Big 12, no wins against AP teams. Why do you have Baylor in the sleeper conversation?
Because sometimes you have to understand opportunity. You can look at a schedule and say, oh, man, that's really difficult. But then flip it to say, but what if they win those games? Because the way that this Baylor season starts, Haley, they could have potentially 2 wins against teams that were in the college football playoff last year and a win against an SEC team. It is not crazy that this Baylor team, which returns the 2nd most production in the Big 12, 11th most production of anybody in the FBS. You know, you've got Sawyer Robertson back at quarterback after a strong showing, and all that comes from Jake Spavital going in and becoming the new offensive coordinator. So it's year 2 with Spav as the OC. Sawyer Robertson gets to continue to build on his success. And so instead of saying, man, that's tough schedule, but what if they win? So if they are able to beat Auburn at home, you know, in that big spotlight Friday game in week 1, if they are able to go beat SMU, and if they happen to knock off Arizona State, well, then it's just the egg and the spoon the rest of the way, baby. You just got to make sure you keep it on the tracks because of the quality wins that you've already logged. So with Baylor and with a few other teams, it is an acknowledgement that, yes, you have a tough schedule, but if you win them, the selection committee is going to love you when it comes time to ranking teams later in the season.
My phone just lit up, and I'm going to guess that it's my husband taking offense to you saying that Baylor's going to beat his Arizona State Sun Devils this year.
It's what if. Hey, tell Marcel it's what if. You got to consider it. It's the Big 12. We're talking coin flips.
Coin flips. We love to see it. You mentioned Sawyer Robertson, by the way. He threw for over 3,000 yards and 28 touchdowns last season, so hoping to get better there from that front. If we go over to the ACC, we'll continue the quarterback conversation here, Chip. Georgia Tech is on the rise, and I know the Canes hate to see Haynes King coming after besting Miami over the last few seasons. But now the Yellow Jackets look to take the next step, Chip. How do they do it?
This is going to be about maintaining the continuity that you get from Haynes King, from Jamal Haynes, from being able to have a group that under Brent Key has been afraid of absolutely no one. I mean, they take out top 10, top 25 teams the same way that I eat oatmeal for breakfast. It just happens all day. So when I look at Georgia Tech and I think about the college football playoff scenario, the schedule is so difficult that they probably could get in with a 9-3 record as an at-large team. They have to play Clemson. They have to play Georgia. They start on the road at Colorado. There is just a great opportunity there for the Yellow Jackets to be able to rely on their experience and rely on what they've been able to do since Key took over. So, you know, with Haynes King, obviously not going to be a first-round NFL draft pick, but maybe going to be one of the most decorated college quarterbacks that we've seen in the last 5 years. The way he puts his body on the line, we remember those 8 overtimes against Georgia. The way he just wills this team to win. That it is a group that wants to run the football, play physically, and get down into Haynes King winning time. I just think that Georgia Tech's ceiling is so much better than what their record might be. So let's look at the ceiling since we're talking about dark horse. And much like we said with Baylor, what if they win? Well, if they do, they're definitely going to be going to the college football playoff.
All right, let's wrap it up in the SEC, where the transition was smoother for some than others. Of course, Sooners fans hoping to see a much improved team under Brent Venables in 2025, and they're going to put their faith once again in a first-year quarterback, this one, John Mateer. Chip, we kind of saw this song and dance last year where there was a lot of hype surrounding Jackson Arnold. He's now at Auburn. Why the faith in the Sooners and Brent Venables here as they go into 2025?
Because Brent Venables did not just get John Mateer from Washington State. He also got the offensive coordinator in Ben Arbuckle. And what that means is that John Mateer is coming to Oklahoma without having to learn a new language, literally. He comes in knowing the offense that Oklahoma is going to run because of his relationship and because of his success at Washington State with Arbuckle. And also for Brent Venables, what a lesson learned from last year, because the offensive coaching staff was in total turmoil. I mean, we're talking reassignment of duties, firing an OC, promoting a new analyst. I mean, everything on the offensive side of the ball was horrendous, and the results showed as Oklahoma had one of the worst offenses in the SEC. But defensively, they were great, and defensively, they should be great again. Now, the schedule is absolutely brutal. One of the 10 most difficult schedules in the entire country. But much like we've been talking about with these dark horses, if the offense clicks and the defense can maintain the standard that was set, if Ben Arbuckle can come in and be able to infuse some explosiveness, and if they just have a little bit, a smidge better injury luck at the wide receiver position, then Oklahoma could be able to take down some of those toughest opponents. This is a team, Haley, that even at like 9-3, really is going to deserve a lot of consideration for the college football playoff. We've never had a 3-loss team in the college football playoff before, but because of the Sooners' schedule, they might be a team that could do it. That is, if they can get the 9 wins.
Got to get to 9 wins first. Chip, we appreciate the time this morning. Make sure you check out his article up on CBSSports.com and check him out on the Cover 3 podcast. The guys stay ready so you don't have to, bringing you the latest when it comes to the college football headlines.